Good afternoon, Eddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Coming on real quick to give you an update on the shooting on Morris. Happened about 2 weeks ago. A 19-year-old was shot and killed on Morris. Yonkers police making several arrests, actually. And I mentioned the first time, I mentioned it first, actually, here on Basement Politics when they arrested the first suspect. Again, there's three suspects that were arrested. And the first one was arrested, I believe, about a week ago, a little over a week ago on Sunday on Riverdale Avenue. A couple of the individuals were actually arrested on Riverdale Avenue, which surprised some people because the family's actually from Riverdale Avenue. They grew up there. That's actually where I know the family from. I, lived on Riverdale Avenue for many years, where I was doing my thing with music and stuff. So I recorded, the music of a lot of guys that were, wanting to be, musicians. They were also in gangs. They were also, involved in the streets and stuff like that. So I got to know a lot of the guys, just being from the neighborhood also. So I knew the family. And again, this was sad because, it's just tragic. A 19-year-old kid. I mean, he just recently had graduated. Mom and dad did care for the child. They loved him very much. 19-year-old, young man. Mom and dad were there. They both were working, not out on the street like that. So, just any negative things, that people may be saying, just listen, at the end of the day, someone died. And two parents, a father and a mother, are having to now live with this tragedy, and it's I can't imagine it. I can't. But I wanted to read this news. I didn't get to go to the press conference. I just had a lot going on. But they did release this. I get this in the email. Mayor Spano and Police Commissioner Chris Sapienza announced today multiple arrests in relation to a spat of gang-related shootings. A spat. So there wasn't just one. This is an ongoing thing. Shooting incidents that have occurred over the last several weeks, including the fatal shooting of 19-year-old Daquan Powell of Yonkers on Morris. And now, since they've released his name, I'll say it. On Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, about 8:20 p.m., members of the Yonkers Police Department responded to the area of 55 Morris on report of a shooting victim. Upon arrival, officers located an unresponsive male with multiple gunshot wounds to his abdomen down on the street next to a black sedan. First responders rendered CPR and transported the victim to a local area hospital where he was pronounced deceased. A second male victim was also located with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to his leg. Police cordoned off the scene and initiated a criminal investigation. Detectives from the Major Case Squad, Gang Unit, Crime Scene Unit, and Digital Forensic Unit responded to the scene and interviewed subjects and witnesses, recovered surveillance video, and processed ballistics and forensic evidence. Investigation yielded that Powell was driving the black sedan with the second male victim, an 18-year-old resident of Yonkers, sitting in the front passenger seat. The sedan was driven eastbound on Morris Street and stopped in front of house number 55. As the front passenger exited the vehicle, an armed assailant ran up to the driver's window and fired 6 gunshots through the window, striking Powell 6 times. Wow. I thought it was initially 2. And the passenger 1 time. The gunman, along with 2 accomplices, then fled the scene. Investigators determined that the 3 of them had been lying in wait in the house driveway for Powell to arrive, and believe that the shooting is related to gang violence and that Powell was targeted for assassination. So they were waiting for this guy to come here. And when I read that part, I immediately, and if I was, the family, I would immediately, and I'm not suggesting this is the case, but immediately I wondered if the passenger knew this was going to happen. I mean, how did they know whether he would be going, where he would be stopping and dropping this passenger off? Just a question that came to my mind. So I'm not saying that's what happened, don't want to put that out there. That's a fact. Detective quickly identified several persons of interest and over the next several days worked to build a case in support of criminal charges and arrests. Further investigations yielded that the suspected gunman was not local and resided out of state. His 2 suspected accomplices were also implicated in a shooting incident, along with a 3rd person that occurred on Saturday, May 13th, in the area of 100 Livingston Avenue, where a 42-year-old male Brooklyn resident was shot 1 time in the chest and survived, albeit in critical condition. As investigation into these incidents continued, Yonkers police responded to another shooting on Sunday, June 4th, at about 4:10 p.m. in the area of 77 Riverdale Avenue. A gunman allegedly fired at least 7 shots at 2 individuals riding dirt bikes. Wow. The shots missed their targets but struck a random vehicle across the street occupied by 2 brothers in their 30s. So you're sitting in your car and you can just be shot, right? You don't have to have anything to do with anything that's going on. You can be in your car with your family member and you have to watch for bullets now on Riverdale. Again, that's where I saw 2 people killed. Right, on Riverdale. Fortunately, no one was injured. Police determined that this shooting was also related to ongoing gang violence. Investigators also discovered that the gun used in the Riverdale Avenue shooting incident was likely the same weapon that was used to murder Powell. Wow. As additional information and evidence was collected, detectives identified the perpetrators in all 3 incidents and developed a search warrant and arrest plan. Working with the Westchester County District Attorney's Office, FBI, Westchester Safe Streets Task Force, and the City of Danbury, Connecticut, Police Department members of the Yonkers Police Department effected the arrest of 4 individuals on the night of Tuesday, June 6th, and morning hours of Wednesday, June 7th. Matthew Quinones, 20 years old, resident of Danbury, Connecticut, charged with murder 2, a Class A1 violent felony in the New York State penal law for the alleged killing of Daquan Powell, 20 years old. Adolescent offender 1, a 17-year-old resident of Yonkers, charged with attempted murder 2, assault 1, criminal possession of a weapon 2, and conspiracy 2 for his alleged actions in the Livingston Avenue shooting incident, also present with Quinones during the Morris Street homicide. Adolescent offender number 2, a 16-year-old resident of Yonkers, charged with attempted murder 2, assault 1, criminal possession of a weapon 2, conspiracy 2 for his alleged actions in Livingston Avenue shooting, as well as being present with the Quinones, the suspect, and who shot and killed the 19-year-old Morris. Adolescent number 3, a 16-year-old resident, charged again with attempted murder 2, assault 1, criminal possession of a weapon 2, conspiracy 2, same thing, involved in the shooting on Livingston, and he was also facing a hindering prosecution charge for his alleged action in relation to a shooting incident that occurred on March 23rd in the area of 67 Elliott Avenue, for where there were no reported injuries. These are some bad dudes. In addition to the above arrest, the Yonkers police have identified adolescent offender 4 as the alleged perpetrator in the Riverdale Avenue shooting incidents, and detectives are actively working to locate and arrest him. Although he's 18 years old now, he was 17 at the time of the incident. During the execution of search warrants on Riverdale Avenue, 2 semi-automatic 9mm pistols were recovered. One was thrown out of a window as police approached, and another was recovered from the person of adolescent offender 3. Both were unlawfully possessed, and investigators are awaiting ballistic testing to yield further information. Mayor Mike Spano stated, Yonkers remains one of the safest of the 5 big cities in New York State, thanks to the hard work, skills, and training of the Yonkers Police Department. Far too many young people are following the wrong path, and if they become a threat to public safety or themselves, they will be arrested. I applaud the Yonkers Police Department on the investigation, and I hope that these juvenile offenders are swiftly brought to justice to avoid any repetitive crimes in our city. Commissioner Chris Sapienza stated, public space gun violence is an outrageous threat to the safety of our residents and community members, and elicits the strongest response from law enforcement. As these incidents were unfolding in a short period of time, our investigators were quickly piecing everything together to make these arrests and put an end to the violence. Yonkers is a very safe city for our size, and the YPD will always stand watch at the vanguard of public safety to ensure that crime or the fear of crime will never be allowed to degrade our communities. Now it is up to the courts to make sure that these individuals, regardless of age, are held fully accountable to the maximum extent of the law. As always, I thank our partners in the Westchester DA's office, FBI, Danbury Police, for their assistance, collaborations, and keeping Yonkers safe from the perpetrators of violence. In addition to these arrests, the Yonkers Police, at the direction of Mayor Spano, have increased motor and foot patrols in these areas of the city, in those areas, following these where many of these incidents have occurred. Residents and community members should expect to see a strengthened presence of both uniform and plainclothes officers engaged in public safety activities. And they have been out on Riverdale. I've seen cars there, just posted up there. Matthew Quiones was arraigned in Yonkers criminal court on June 7th and remanded to custody of the Westchester County Jail. His next court date is scheduled for June 23rd. Adolescent offenders 1 through 3 were arraigned and subsequently remanded to a local juvenile detention facility pending their hearing due to their ages. No identifying information will be released. The cases are being prosecuted by the Westchester DA. Any information, you can contact them. And so there it is, the Yonkers police making arrests. And, I can't, their ages, 16, 17, the oldest was 20, the victim is 19. The guy that was arrested for killing the 19-year-old Morris, he's 20 and he's from Connecticut. So why is he out in Yonkers shooting people? And then the man that was shot in Livingston is from Brooklyn. And so here we have it, folks. We are the safest big city. Are we? 2 brothers were sitting in their cars and almost got hit with stray bullets. They may be traumatized for life. I know I would be. I'm not sitting in my car in Riverdale anymore after that. Many people are traumatized. Many people, as Corazon Pineda Isaac said, do not feel safe, whether they're in her district or not. This is happening in District 3. That's Tasha Diaz. The gang violence is out of control. I've mentioned this. It's spilling into our schools, our public schools. Our kids who are going there to learn, who want to stay out of trouble, are in effect being involved in this craziness because of the school they attend, or by default, by the community they live in, by who their neighbors are, right? And this is unfair to them. And there's so many kids out there and people and members of the community who are held hostage by this. So we cannot just continue to say it's the safest big city when people are getting killed. Young people out here packing semi-automatic weapons, shooting at random people, shooting at people on dirt bikes. People in parked cars are ducking strays. How can we say we are the safest big city? I mean, who are we comparing ourselves to? And I could only imagine what that place must look like. So we have to stop that because it's not what people feel. I mean, aside from the shoplifting, the robberies, the drug, addiction and abuse, just in public, in front of everybody. I posted a video of a man smoking crack at ShopRite in broad daylight. How many panhandlers are now roaming the streets of Yonkers, whether they are addicted to drugs, homeless, and, looking just, in the worst shape possible, or there are an entire family who are dressed nicely, who are sitting in lawn chairs, sipping on their Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee with a sign saying, "We need money to feed our family." We are seeing this everywhere in Yonkers. The crowds, the traffic, the city cabs, we are now becoming the city. We are officially the 6th borough. No longer are we just known as the 6th borough, just a nickname. We are officially the 6th borough. We are now having big city problems. Is that what we wanted? We are having big city crimes. We are having to deal with big city issues that, take away from the quality of life. And so while luxury buildings are going up, we're starting to see the communities deteriorate all around us. I mean, they're getting worse. And I know I'm from the Southwest side, so I get it. That hasn't been the best neighborhood in the city or the best part of Yonkers. But I mean, it's looked better than it looks today. I'm just being honest. Everywhere you go, there's panhandling. Everywhere you go, you see people homeless. You see people using drugs. You see people high on drugs. It's crazy. And they're walking through the luxury developments and all that. So what are we doing here? Are we really improving the city? Or are we making it worse by adding all this, all these luxury buildings? And again, it's coming with big city problems. What are those youth prevention programs doing with the youth? Exactly. And when I say that, I get criticized, right? They say, "Oh, Freddie, you talk." I'm not trying to criticize anybody. It's not personal. This is not about you. It's about the kids. It's about what's actually happening. These kids are obviously not getting any of these resources that are supposed to be out there. All this money that's being spent And I've spoken with officials and people who can make things happen, and I've told them exactly what the problem is, why they're not being effective. There's so much going on that you first have to work through before you can even reach these kids to expect them to be committed to any of these resources that you're trying to provide them, whether they're academic or their career resources. That's not where their head is at first, foremost. So you have to engage them in a way that takes special skills, that not many people have just because you start a 501c3. And your friend or your relative is this elected official. So, hey, give me grant money. Now look what we're doing. Let's have these photo opportunities because we're doing a barbecue here, because we're doing a bouncy house here. But the kids that we need to reach are not attending this. They don't care about that. And how are we actively engaging them? Are we waiting for them to come to us? You have to go in the communities. You have to disrupt the culture. You have to go in and say, hey, we're here. We're going to change the culture. And it's enough of enough. What's up, guys? Why are we out here doing this? I know you want more. I know they do. They may not tell you that because they got to be cool. Nah, I'm doing my thing. I get in a bag. That's a front. That's all fake. They would love to be living this life where they go to work every day, have a good job, feel good about themselves, be able to provide for themselves, feel like a man, right? And yes, they have to take responsibility. They have to take accountability. But you have to understand what that even is before you can do it. I know I had to learn it, right? And because I was at a disadvantage growing up, it took me longer than other people. If you have mom and dad in the home and they were working, they were successful, and you were living in a home and stuff, you had an advantage. Just that right there. It's an advantage, right? And we can't neglect that fact. And so, I don't want to say anything bad. I commend people who are out there working, but we have to take a different approach, and we have to understand what the problem really is. We have to understand the complexities that are involved, and then we have to understand how to address that. And it's not just throwing money at it. It's not just saying, hey, we got these programs, we're offering this. You have to come and take it. You have to come in and actually want to do it, right? Yeah, I get that too. So we need real programs. We need people that are truly, genuinely committed to this, not committed to getting more money, not committed to taking pictures, not committed to being all over Facebook and having galas and handing out awards to people for fucking what? What the fuck are y'all getting awards for? Can anybody tell me? These kids are dying out here, shooting each other. The place looks like shit, and y'all giving each other awards. We are going to Crown over there in Sawmill. Y'all buying those awards there? I will feel like an idiot accepting one of them awards and taking a picture like y'all do. Because y'all didn't do shit to get an award. Nothing. No top 10 hit, no #1 movie, no #1 sales at the box office, nothing. You ain't done nothing to get an award. You didn't invent anything. You didn't fucking change anything. And how many awards did these same people got? It's all BS, man. It's all about raising money. I'm Freddie Vasquez, Basement Politics. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to come back later and do a real long podcast. Not a long podcast, but normally my normal time. Anyway, I'm just keeping it honest, man. Like, I want to help these kids. Stop playing with this, man. I want to help these kids, yo. I'm not here for y'all little, look at me. Look at me and my status. I'm with the mayor. I'm taking a picture. Let's do little events with our little baggies and bounce house and da-da-da-da-da-da. That doesn't do anything, man. I'm not for that. I'm just too straight up and too honest, and I want to help these kids, man. I want to see that's my reward.
No!